Magi, The Lost Chapters of Bahognar, Book 2. Overview of the second book. An enormous star-like figure is seen from Bahognar during the rebuild. The Queen becomes concerned that others might get hurt, but what she does not know is by what exactly. So she orders Albert the 21st and Drachna the 22nd to check out the landing site and to report back to her after they knew what it was. Drachna the 22nd and Albert the 21st set out and find the landing site to be a UFO ship, and they head back to Bahognar with a piece of its metal and a weird-looking boot as proof to the Queen of their findings. After presenting their find to the Queen, with indeed her believing them, she had ordered a full hailing of the intruders. That night, while they were all asleep resting for the morning hail of the intruders, the Queen hears a noise and is then kidnapped. Albert the 21st and Drachna the 22nd awake the next morning without being able to find the Queen anywhere. A pact they make between one another is made. They agree to keep her disappearance to themselves and handle the matters at hand in their own way, but not without going back to the UFO ship. When they arrive, the ship was unguarded and no one was seen anywhere. In their arguing, they hear a deep cry for help. It had sounded of the Queen, and immediately they board the UFO ship. As highly technologically advanced as it is, the ship shakes, goes into full thrust, and into outer space, leaving Bahognar throneless. Previously, a letter had reached the Queen. The land of greatness was once again threatened by his tempest. His tempest said in the letter the Queen had read she would fall to her reign, and she did. The power of three are all that survived. The ruination of Bahognar, which had become known as the Ruination Era. The power of three had then settled out and found each other along the way when looking for survivors who may have survived the beyond magic blast that his tempest had boasted upon greatness and the 13 kingdoms. After Magi had found a heroic spear under the Queen of Bahognar's throne chair, the three barely escaping being captured by his tempest's minions from the Paramore mine, had fled to the Bahogarian graveyard, knowing it was their only protection from being ruined themselves, and had spent a century rebirthing a new Bahognar that had went from just a cult to an incredibly and complete full regiment 22 times over again. Albert, Magi, and Drachna had died through these years, and their kids had taken command based on their birthing cycles until the first of the 22nd birth was born and the rest of the 22nd regimenters were ready. They announced it was time. It was what was pre-planned by the very first Magi to take the heroic spear she had found after the ruination of greatness and use its power to cure the sick water and rid the planet of wrongdoing just like her mother had wanted, the Queen Tessa. So they did. They all traveled to the wrong lands, and when they got there, Albert the 21st used the spear and cured the water and saved the planet. Magi the 22nd was crowned Queen of New Bahognar just after the rebuild of her throne and room, giving an ending speech like her mother had always gave greatness, has been saved once again. Magi, The Lost Chapters of Bahognar, Book 2. Chapter 1. Chapter 1, All But Normal. The mild, hot summer of sunshine on Bahognar's previously destructed rebel piles that had spread about the Runation being picked and reused as Magi the 22nd awaited the center of where her throne will be. Gobs of burnt stone brick that had made up the castle structure, with her mind clear to avoid confusion. Summer had came in a hurry, but the battle alert system had smoked, and the afternoon sun held its heat. Breathing deeply, she had shown the newly made rebuild plans. The calm woman took a stone of pot of water and drank it without so much as even a dash of worry. But she had taken another deep breath before handing it over to one of her workers named Eddie to drink, and then handed to the others. Then she had returned to the center once again to wait for the construction of the throne. It was a great area and spacious, not yet finished, Your Highness. Hardly ever is it easy to see Her Highness. This afternoon, guarded and not accepting any new consults, tied up in the rebuild for her throne, for her crown to her bosom, though she put on a great argument how to place this and how to put that, endless knots with a united loser, and to configure that she knew of. The rebuild did not stop her concerns, yet Drachna had at least one that was at his attention, with a stone pillar that had been remade by hand with a bucket load of water and then dried in the afternoon heat up in the air, with 20 of the 22nd Regiment's men controlling how it would flop, with ropes made of tall grass sleeved and spun together to hold a strength that is equal to hemp when it is done the same way. The Queen did not worry herself about the 22nd Regimenters' details in their works. She knew that their creativity is what makes the craft of the kingdom great. The creativity and creative embroidery of a number of things created creatively, and is what gives the land of greatness and the 13 kingdoms its unique artistical futures. Blast! There was nothing more unartistical than that of any eye that had set a foot upon the kingdom, had been since the beginning. Drachna and the others, 5 new heroic knights of Bahognar, had been awakened to begin their nightly shift on a turn-based schedule maintained by Albert the 21st, a bunch of pillars set one by one in a square 1,500 feet from each other. And any night it would be a long and hard night. Was any other ruler in greatness monitored by 20 or more of the world of Mer's finest knights? She had fought to sleep too. His minions, who are now great heroics themselves, were most meek and collective to Her Highness's needs, and it seems that they are more comfortable with her in the lead. Many and Julio, most compliant per se, seemed to find it easier than before. The Queen Magi, the 22nd, did not. In the last 18 years since the destruction and Runation era, the kingdoms had not seen filled of more life in Magi the 22nd's eyes. Her last set of orders had been fulfilled, and she informed of new ones after her throne was ready for her to sit in. She loved it when Albert the 22nd reminded her of how her eyes had made him tingly inside. Only Drachna had looked at her in that way. She knew it in her heart, preparing a proposal from either one, and it could be any time become real. She had been in charge of the rebuild for over a week now, though she cannot recall exactly how much had been accomplished in that week. At certain moments it had seemed that the rebuild was going to take longer than planned. This concerned her. she struck firm with her orders. She would have newer ones soon. It was her duty. Prior to Albert the 22nd had stayed up and tried to seduce her. Why is it he had not been caught? The workers had been working overtime for quite a while now. He would not have seduced her. He had to sneak around to avoid being caught. Prior, she was unwilling. "Are you sneaking around the Queen's quarters, Albert the 22nd? Drachna accused, occasionally checking the Queen's room door. Drachna was back and forth and about frequently, fast and pissed off. Yesterday she had made his face blush red, and she grabbed his steel heart. Intentionally, Drachna had to hurry the workers to keep working. That works swell when your brain is headed toward the moon. Many he had been with Julio ever since the Queen's quarters had seemed almost finished, but her project still had required some finishing touches. His temptress kneeling near the statue of a Wagnerian heroic knight, tears running down his cheek, his daily wear a soaking. He wore the standard mage's robe, candy apple red, with a black hood, a bronze buckle belt, and seemed more in the scenery than the actual scenery. Only a scar had remained of his forehead. Every bit of him is the scene described. Magi the 22nd had seen him. He had looked only older than in Potter portrait and a bit more colorful. That had been expected for the age of the vase she compared him to. Not only a whole lot of a difference in facial texture, and some would not agree nor disagree. And all that is said and done, she had a piece of history that had survived the Runation era. But how come it was not ruined? Magi had asked herself this question frequently and had saved the vase because of it. Drachna's mind was clear and focused, now and fixed on his reaction to Her Highness's curiosity. The sick water must have kept him alive, only aging a year for every 30 that had went by. Miraculously, for an leader and an prior wrongdoer of a mage. Anyone to cross his path other than a heroic or a power of another greater power was surely to be a boiled chicken. For the last day or two, Magi the 22nd had been trying to find closure for his wrongdoing, scratching her leg and hurrying the production as she could not sleep very well, and every day Albert the 21st had made it even harder for her. Whenever she began to heal, Albert seduced her. Magi the 22nd heard from many that Julio had witnessed it, and it was only a matter of time before Drachna the 22nd would confront him about it. But he had stopped prior to that to avoid a confrontation. Drachna the 22nd, nearly a fair in the height as most Bulgarian men, sharpened his blade nearly every night before bed, with a solid heroic background and a well-known reputation in all of greatness, seemed more heroic than he was with magic. His helm, always worn, and only a few Bulgarians had set their eyes upon his face. Magi the 22nd favored Drachna the 21st in this age far more than Albert the 21st. Drachna the 22nd might have soon have him punished for a slip-up, but Magi the 22nd could defeat him herself, for she is far more powerful for a queen. She surely would if Drachna the 22nd had failed to defeat him if he ever had a challenge put upon him concerning her to the throne, so long as not to scratch or bruises on her. The front of her unmarked just leaves the only room to question rape. No tears upon her face, Magi the 22nd ignored her own pains. It was not polite to watch, she had always thought. Even if she had managed to build the Hognar in time, could some other wrongdoing still exist? She had shown every sign that there was, but that was their fear as well. but they had to be calm to dodge a panic. Would Magi the 22nd be hiding an evil that she fears of? She had already declared the Hognar free of wrongdoings. If Albert the 21st failed to use the staff, wrongdoing would have been the end of greatness. Yet that is not the case, but could have been, or even worse if it had been. Magi the 22nd ignored her thoughts. It was a troubling matter to even begin to think about it, and the other possibilities would only have made him even more troubling. Even if she managed to think about losing the staff of the Hognar, could be the end of greatness, and would they have made it this far? She gave every hint of being worried. That was an unacceptable thought, but a worker needed to be working and nothing else. Questions is, would Albert the 21st be seducing her, or to try to obtain the staff to give his tempest? Nonsense, she had grieved. He had shown no interest of betrayal. If Magi the 21st had failed to find the staff of the Hognar, she would not be the Queen of Greatness in the great kingdom of the Hognar. It will not be forever, of course. It would be Drachna the 22nd and Albert the 21st to lead the next two kingdoms of rebuild. Yet, without the workers finished, they would have to wait a bit longer. Magi the 22nd prayed to rule over them, but she knew without them she would not be the most powerful of all of greatness. So much to do, if she could get it all done in time. Whoa! A light! Up there in the sky, headed for the Wronglands. It's a good mile or so wide, if not more. Drachna the 22nd, Albert the 21st sees this light. Find it before it finds us. Yes, Your Highness, they had said simultaneously as they had started for the exit of the Hognar. She is not usually concerned like that, Drachna the 22nd had muttered, hurrying on the dirt road with his orders. Let's be careful. Even with that crown on her head, it seems a tad too concerned. Albert the 22nd had shook his head noticeably. For some reasons, the Queen did not understand what it was she had saw. It was very important to Albert the 22nd as to what it was that they were being ordered into. He had even suggested the same thing Drachna the 22nd did. To be careful, Drachna the 22nd regimenter. I have not eaten yet. Will you eat some of thy dried venison? He had said firmly. I will eat anything. Magi, The Lost Chapters of Hognar, Book 2, Chapter 2. The road towards the truth. Many the used to be minion, who is now a heroic knight of Hognar, did not know that the Queen Magi the 22nd had sent Drachna the 22nd and Albert the 21st after a light in the sky that had landed in a deserted place in the Wronglands and was not shown on the Bulgarian wall map located in the rebel pile near where the security headquarters were. The Bulgarian workers are working, Your Highness, and Julio was upset when he had found out that Drachna the 21st was in charge of the rebuild and Drachna the 22nd was out on leave with orders. Very disappointed he was, yet his luck was on bad terms, or his increased labor was. But then again, being more helpful never brought any worse than good to a worker. The Queen's throne is already as detailed as it can be. A day ago, Julio had said, still upset. They were about to begin a new assignment, and Drachna the 21st had prior ordered a pillar to be placed at the front gate to begin rework on the castle's security, a relevant order for such a heroic knight with a freshman's rank. Most other workers would be changing shifts by now, and the people had to work these hours had they not have been worked hard enough over the last few days already, but he had continued working on his good faith. Magi, the 23rd's mother, is the Queen, was it not, Albert, the 23rd, on his way by Magi, her 21st, who had stepped down to the throne, claiming it was not hers to claim, and she fitted in a whole lot better in the position as the wife of House of Bahagnar. The difficult positions is the one that requires raising and teaching proper morals and discipline with a touch of love, and the rest left up to the educational departments, which include participation of both mother and good parenting. She had talked about these things as if they were the only things that had mattered to her. She must have an iron heart. I expect another newborn this year, though I would like more than that. Her words regimented a lot like heroic, but not a baby's. A declaration of affection from Her Highness. Magi the 21st had returned to his rebel quarter in the east, not without thanking the Queen for her support, as if she had just raised an army for her. "Are you doing all right, Drachna the 22nd? How was that meet?" Albert the 21st had came into view with a picture of Drachna the 22nd's behind in his face, and he worked his way up to his helmet. "I am fine, and thank you. All right, we will be near the wrong land soon." He had stuck his finger in the wind to get a closer look at where their whereabouts had been. "According to the wind, we are headed northeast. All right. We just keep following this road, and we should be coming up to the river valley. As soon as we cross the river, there will be in the Wronglands," he told Drachna the 22nd. "That's all I can tell us for now. I am all right. We are 2 days from the landing. It could have landed anywhere over that valley and around the hill somewhere, though we will reach it at least. More so, only if he had convinced Drachna the 22nd to spend his day off learning how to better his own navigating techniques the way he did now. They would be there as soon as the new sunrise. You may want to keep your eyes on that hill, Drachna the 22nd, Albert the 21st had made perfectly clear. With it, he had kept Drachna the 22nd more alert. He had put his suggestions all in the back of the Bahagnar Southgate that had been unused since the Runation and had hid it there. For a minute there he had a thought. He had thought the thing to do was to keep antagonizing him. He spent the day doing just that up until he had just walked up the road carefully not to trip upon a twig or a loose rock. It would be a bad fall or worse, and it did not go well with Drachna the 22nd, already have fallen on a great couple of them by not being careful himself. I can give you as much of the silent treatment as you would like from here all the way to the landing site, if you like, no matter how much you antagonize me. This is not what I had promised, but it will get us there. It would be quite far, at least 5 minutes. We could hear the wildlife from the river valley at least. Even more, if he would convince Albert the 21st to spend his day watching for aliens, might interest him. Albert the 21st had taken to the idea, agreeing with it, but was on his terms as he had continued on using his finger to help them in the direction they were moving in. So what will we do to cross the river, Albert the 21st? It will be easy to cross a bridge, Drachna the 22nd. That is that. I haven't had a clue how far we are. Besides, if we are close enough to the river, we will be able to hear the current. Hush, Drachna the 22nd. If you were listening, you could hear the river already. Drachna the 22nd had noticed then that he could. The bridge is right up ahead of us, he pointed. That and plus they both started running to it like a couple of great rabbits in a race for a free farm full of carrots. Some of their venison had not been in their tummies, along with the favorite foods sounds that were made when messy eating when they had got there. No, Drachna the 22nd. He had grabbed the venison roll from his hands. This has to last us the whole trip. And he had tied the venison back to his belt. Are you ready? Magi the 22nd, a break from Drachna the 22nd and Albert the 21st that went to all of Bognar's eyes set on the Queen. Cancel my appearance tonight, Magi the 21st. I must hear a returning matter from Albert the 21st, and Drachna the 22nd before I can inform anything to the people. Consider it done, Magi the 21st said swiftly as he walked out into a crowd of heroic knights and Bulgarian workers, lifting her speech tone to her highest pitch and letting everyone know that she wanted their attention. Listen up, she announced. The Queen will not be giving a speech tonight because of a matter she wishes not to share until she is ready to. There would count an exact 10,000 minions that are now heroic knights to Bahagnar. Good, thank you, Magi the 21st. The amount of regiments will increase as soon as their names are recorded on the Bulgarian civil ballot. Dismissed. Dismissed! There was no flaws in her dismissal, just her leave of the Queen, and she had shown no sign of disobeying an order. Drachna the 22nd, he had another sight of him. He had gave Albert the 21st his sword, his word that he would have his guard if they were to be ambushed, which, if ever, who attacks them, is what is the who would be foolish enough anyhow. But he refused to lead on the road in the wronglands. I think that is a bright light, do you not, Drachna the 22nd? It had to be our intruders' landing we're about, more than ever. It is the only light I see, Albert the 21st. What about you? Yes, it is the 22nd. He agreed, but do not worry yourself. We must see what is there first. He pushed. That is that. That is it. Down there! Albert the 21st, strolling to the right to get a closer look. Have you ever seen anything like it, Drachna the 22nd? It appears to have been made by some unknown phenomenon. I know this much. He strolled further. This ship is made of the same material that had been found in the Paramore mine. It had to be from a planet like or the same as Mirth, our planet. If you would cram it for a second, Albert the 21st, Drachna angered, you would see that no one is anywhere around here. This place is deserted. Grab the boot, and I will try to gather this stray piece of metal. The Queen wants proof. Then, that is just what we're going to get out of her. Proof. Magi, The Lost Chapters of Bahagnar, Book 2, Chapter 3. The Queen's Proof. Bulgarian Knights! How great it feels to finally be home, Albert the 21st. That is the secret password, the 25th Knight. Let him in. And be sure to find the Queen and have her arrange special meeting for our returning knights. The 34th Knight, close Close the gate as soon as it is clear, and the 42nd night run a tail of the perimeter and patrol it to make sure those danged aliens do not pay us an unexpected visit. If our intruders will attack, it would be when we are off guard and not on patrol. The light, he had hoped, no one would be sent to it again. This could put a knight on leave of his duties, for sure, he calmed. The 45th night guard this gate, and do not let any trouble matter disappoint me. She had said she is expecting them. The 25th night had muttered, returning to his patrol of the perimeter. He looked bulky for a knight of the Hognar who was on a strict diet and looked to be upset because of it. She wants to see you, Drachna the 22nd, and Albert the 21st, Magi the 21st said. She wants you to bring proof with you. Here's the proof, Drachna the 22nd handed to Magi the 21st. Come on, Albert the 21st. Let's head to the Queen's quarters. Magi the 21st had followed them, but prior to getting to the Queen, many had said, she will be with you shortly. No orders of us to go inside? Many, no one, left to keep an eye out for those danged aliens. The answer said, he should see the Queen in a distant life, and that a guard will then, just then, have himself planted outside to guard against an intruder. But it was the unanswered speaking. Your orders are to protect the Queen, Drachna the 22nd said, setting his frustrations out in a farm of fields outside the Hognarian's ruined walls, secure walls. The smirk he had got in return was more than worth the remark. Send them in, but it was a smile on her face. Queens are always a mystery, though sometimes too easy to predict. He had looked as if him, but Albert the 21st as well. Directly from where their feet had entered was the Queen, not standing, waiting them patiently. All was according to her plans. Drachna the 22nd had wiped the sweat from his helmet as him and Albert the 21st had approached her with the evidence. Albert the 21st had thought she was angered by what she had been presented, and she was a tad too upset. This is the alien's boot, and perhaps it was a tiny boot, odd-looking, she had seen. There was no not noticing that it still had its days, if not months, of use still. 4 knights had remained outside on guard of the door, built, stocky, men in metal. Their iron carcasses were their blades flashing sparkle, were showing enough to catch even the wrongest of wrongdoers' attentions. Three of the knights that have strolled by had taken notice, even precautions, but more strangely, I think not without looking really hard. They had kept strolling on. One of the most skilled of knights would think carefully before angering them. A knight with a noble mind would not disturb the Queen anyway unless of an emergency. I take no brides, lad. My Queen, many shouted through the door. Proceed, she announced to the knight's guard. The 25th night had seen smoke beyond the forest of the dead. He claims it would be the aliens. I see, she had presumed. Shall we rest, Drachna the 22nd and Albert the 21st, and will hail these intruders first thing in the morning? Dismissed. The 23rd Regiment's Knight's Guard had kept his word and had readied up their knights that were to be going along with them when the hailing was to be commenced in the morning. A built and well-respected man. Their beds not of made, with a wool blanket for each, were all looking forward to some rest, but not wanting to be disturbed either. Not an hour or two then were they not all asleep. 2 of the knights snored so loud that it was obvious what they were doing, but the rest somehow managed to sleep beyond it without snoring. They had all slept just as heavily, too. One of the knights at the gate's front entrance fell asleep also due to the increase in shifts ordered of the Queen. A faint moment was all it had took in the night until early the next morning. Drachna the 22nd, are we not supposed to be meeting with the Queen? He said. I will check for her in her quarters, Albert the 21st. Maybe, just maybe, she had slept in. I will be right back, Drachna the 22nd had said. Albert the 21st had heard him in the same tone he had always spoken while hearing his heartbeat prior to Drachna the 22nd when he had returned scratching his head. The Queen is not there. No other knights had said a word about seeing her leave, either, Albert the 21st. The Queen is not there. Albert the 21st was shocked by what was said by Drachna the 22nd. The aliens! We must tell no one she is missing, Drachna the 22nd. They will all panic, he said. We must leave at once and go find her. Come on, Albert the 21st. Drachna the 22nd had raised and waved his hand. We must hurry. Magi, The Lost Chapters of Bahagnar, Book 2, Chapter 4. Back to the alien ship. Albert the 21st had the lead, exiting the Bahagarian secure wall and moving quickly onto the road back towards the Wronglands, while the sky was still morning. It was the changing of it, the fatigue that Drachna the 22nd hated, soggy in his knighted armor following Albert the 21st along. As much as they had slept, their bodies much in disarray. Drachna the 22nd was hurrying with his knightsman's blade, was not ordering anything, and just wanted to get to the UFO ship. But Albert the 21st, intelligent enough to see that being careful was the only way they were going to find the Queen. Magi the 22nd, pausing a here and a there, catching his breath, and rushing on without an explanation for his frequent stops. With the sun furthering the middle of the afternoon and coming up over the trees, the forest of the dead lay silent and encounters were at a minimum stake. It made a perfect travel for the Wronglands and the alien ship. Nonetheless, last night, if only someone had seen the abduction, we would have found her by now. Albert the 21st said, Yeah, we would have had those aliens surrender. Drachna the 22nd replied back, Maybe he felt angry himself. The afternoon had set upon them. We are near the Wronglands and ha-ha, there it is! Yes, the Queen was nowhere to be around in helm sight. They heard no screams. They had seen no signs of alien life. What now, Albert the 21st? Well, Drachna the 22nd, we camp. If we wait here, they are soon to show themselves eventually. Well, we are stronger now than we were when we were apart, you see, and a lot of the Bahagarian knights would have been a useful advantage. With Drachna the 22nd, if we would have told them that the Queen was missing, they would have disobeyed us, for we do know that they only take orders from her and their superior who takes her orders and is her messenger. Sometimes it is best to do things on your own without telling anyone. They will not follow an order from a lesser power. You know as much as I do. So we have to rescue her ourselves, Albert the 21st. Fight for what is right if we must, Drachna the 22nd. Same as always was, you and me and Magi the 22nd, the power of 3. We are no different, just one short at the moment. Albert the 21st had rejoiced. He shook his head, perhaps that was a scream for help, Drachna the 22nd. Follow me, and I will board this ship. Alien encounters, are they not the most cunning to think that they can steal from us? One boot led over the other from the ships behind. A varnished look and was known to be a mystery metal only seen in the Paramore mine, only identifiable by the Paramore workers who were already dead. Little known of the material, plainly was it not noticed by Jockna the 22nd and Albert the 21st when boarding. When they boarded, rays shined in mysterious to sunlight. Things had flashed on and then off. Powered, was it not, by an unknown energy? What is this that we see, Albert the 21st? I do not know, Jockna the 22nd, but it is amazing to see. The screams for help had continued the front of the ship. A door had trapped them from reaching the aid. The bull, why is this ship shaking, Albert the 21st? Maybe it is being struck, Jockna the 22nd. Grab a hold of something, Albert the 21st, Jockna the 22nd concerned. I do not think it is being struck. The shaking had lasted a good minute and more. An increased energy source had become an even greater one, and Albert the 22nd saw clouds at a light pocket viewing from a hole. Then was immediately a star-filled night in the daytime. Well, Albert the 21st had said, we are not on Earth anymore, Jockna the 22nd. We're in space. The end, and to be continued.